Trappings and Trinkets Knitting Podcast, and I'm your host, Nicole. This is episode 31. I know that because I just looked at the list. So, we're in the 30s now. I totally forgot to acknowledge the anniversary. That was back in February. It's April 4th now, so we missed that. So, we're into year 2 here, and we're ready to talk about knitting and lots of other stuff. So, last weekend was Easter, and it snowed here in Illinois. It's getting out of hand. You know, I think it was like 36 degrees today. It's April 4th, people. It's time. It's time for spring to just happen. My kids, they're both in high school, and my son's a senior, so he's been driving for a while. And so last Easter was the first year that he had his driver's license. So I thought it would be fun. My kids were both very big fans of any sort of hunting, searching, scavenger hunt sort of activity. So last year I thought it would be fun if I made them hunt for their baskets. Well, actually, I've done that before. There's been lots of years where I've kind of sent them around the house with clues so that they could find their Easter baskets. But last year, since my son had his license, I thought it'd be fun if I kind of made them run around town to end up finding their baskets. So they really enjoyed that. And this year, a couple weeks ago, my daughter asked, "Are you going to do that again?" So I had to do it again, right? I'm not going to be like, no, that fun thing you enjoyed last year, no, we're not doing that ever again. So of course I did it again. So they ran around, looked for their baskets. And before this year's scavenger hunt, my son made some snide comment about, oh, well, the baskets were just at our house last year, which is true. I made them go all over the place, and then the baskets were just at our house. But this year I was like, I'm going to put the baskets somewhere else. So I made them at their grandparents' house where we were having Easter dinner. So kind of a cop-out, I know, but whatever. You enjoyed your scavenger hunt. So you might think, well, how are you like putting clues around town? I don't, because I don't, like, I'm not one to get up at 6 a.m. to go drive around town to put clues out. And also, like, it was terrible weather, so they probably would have blown away, or somebody would have walked by and seen them and taken them. So what I do is I send them a clue on their phones via text message. And then when they get to that place, they have to take a picture of themselves at the place to show me that they found the place. And then I send them the next clue. So that worked really well. This year, though, they went to 2 places that were not the correct places. So then they had to try again. But it all worked out, and they had fun and ended up with Easter baskets. So who can complain about that, right? The excitement in my life last week was receiving a sample pack from Spoonflower. Are you familiar with this website? So it's a website that does printed, mostly fabric, but also some other stuff. So I'll show you that in a minute. But what's fun about it is that all the designs are just made by whoever. Like, do you want to design some fabric? You can. You want to upload a picture of your cat and print it on fabric? They'll do that for you. So just all sorts of fun fabrics. And the other nice thing about Spoonflower is that they have, I think it's like 20 something different fabrics that they will print things on for you. So if you want this floral pattern here on some cotton, well, they have like 5 cottons to choose from. Do you want it on wallpaper? Oh, okay. They can print it on wallpaper. You want it on some fleece? No problem. Print it on fleece. So I had ordered from Spoonflower a few times, and I've been very happy anytime I've ordered from there. But I wanted to get some probably cotton for a couple of shirts, and I also wanted to get some fabric for leggings. And so I really wanted to make sure I was buying the right kind, because I knew that probably it would be knit fabrics that I was looking for. But they have, let me see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They have 6 different kinds of knit fabrics. So just going off the internet, it was difficult. You know, they do have a little description of each one, but it was kind of difficult for me to figure out which one I wanted, which one would work best for my projects. So I got the sampler pack, and the sampler pack is all sorts of cards that are printed with these dots on every single type of fabric and other stuff that they offer. So they print the same set of dots in all different colors, because then you can see how each fabric takes the dye differently. So like between these two. See how this one, it takes it lighter than this one. So this is the organic cotton knit fabric, and this one is sport lycra. So this is like a very stretchy, this is like if you got athletic leggings from like the exercise store, this is the fabric that it would probably be in. It's a 88% cotton polyester, 12% lycra. This organic cotton is a thicker fabric, and it's 100% cotton. So they do have on the back, they have uses that they suggest for each fabric, and they have the care instructions. They also tell you like what the width is of, you know, if you print a yard of this organic cotton, it's coming in a 56-inch width. So is the sport lycra. This one, the cotton spandex jersey, it comes in a 60-inch width. And some of them, not the knits, but some of the other ones come in 44, 45-inch widths. But anyway, so this was a really, it only costs $3, so 100% worth it. If you order fabric from Spoonflower, I would suggest that you invest in the little sample pack here so that you really know what you're getting. But plan ahead. I ordered this the first week of March, and it didn't come until the last week of March. So it's cheap, but it takes a while. So they have velvet. Here's a nice fleece, and this fleece is nice and thick. That would be in like a nice blanket. 100% polyester. They have that minky fabric that's like fuzzy, real soft. These are all polyesters. The faux suede is polyester. Here's one of their wallpapers. They actually have two wallpapers. This one's woven, and this one is a smooth wallpaper. So this one just feels like slick paper, and this one has a little bit of a rough texture. And as you can see, this one, well, actually, yeah. This one takes the dye a little bit lighter than the other one, but I'm not sure you can really see that on the screen. It's kind of showing up very similar. And then the other thing that they print besides wallpaper and fabric is gift wrap, so you can get that. For bags, when I've ordered fabric for bags, I usually get their canvas, or maybe I got their cotton twill. I'm actually not sure. They have a couple different kinds of canvas, and then they have denim, dogwood denim. So that's nice and thick. They have specialty fabrics. There's a silk, a crepe, satin. This chiffon is real thin. Oop. There we go. Can you see how thin that is? You can just see right through it. Oop. So you can see my fingers. And then, I don't know what this is for. Gauze. This is real open weave. Like, it feels like a muslin. So honestly, like, I don't really know why you would get that. Unless, I mean, the only drawback that I found of Spoonflower is it's pricey. Their fabrics run anywhere from like $18 to $18 and up. The ones that I've bought in the past have been like in the mid-20s. So 20-something dollars for a yard of fabric, that's not cheap. So I don't know why you would get muslin from Spoonflower. But anyway, and then they've got some cottons. Kona cotton, cotton poplin, cotton ultra, and organic cotton. Like this basic cotton, that one's 42-inch width, so it's the cotton poplin and the Kona cotton. So lots of different types of fabric. And then they enclose a little color card with a little story about the company. So totally worth it. $3, really cheap. Highly recommend. I think I definitely decided, let's see, where was the leggings. I really like the organic cotton ultra. I could see that being like a nice thicker t-shirt. It's not see-through, and the fabric takes the dye nicely. It says that it's machine washable. It should be. It says machine dry. I don't know. I don't dry my shirts. I don't want my leggings to be like the slick athletic type, so I haven't decided. I definitely don't want them to be the performance knit. That one's too thin. That's the kind of leggings that your underwear shows through. So I don't know. It might be the cotton spandex jersey, but I'm not quite sure about that yet. But I'll keep you updated on that. So I've been listening this past week to a new album that I downloaded. So do you know who Alan Cumming is? He's an actor. He was in The Good Wife. What was his name? I want to say Ian, but I don't think it was Ian. He was the governor character. It was his little lawyer guy. I always want to say he's Irish, but he's actually Scottish. He kind of looks like a little elf to me. He looks like a small guy. I've never actually seen him in person. I don't know. But anyway, he is the lawyer, and he speaks with an American accent in the show, so you wouldn't know that he's Scottish. But he's also been in a lot of stage shows. I know he's been in Cabaret, and some other stuff. But anyway, I like him a lot as a performer. I actually follow him on Instagram and find him quite entertaining on there. He has a club in New York that he's always posting stuff about. His name's Alan Cumming, and his club is called Club Cumming, so that's appropriate. So anyway, spoiler warning, if you're easily offended, don't follow his Instagram account. But anyway, so he did a special on PBS, I want to say like a year ago, and it was called Alan Cumming Sings Sappy Songs. Now, I love a good sappy song. In fact, my daughter, not too long ago, said something about like, you sure have a lot of sad songs on your iPod. And I was like, yes, I specialize in melancholy. I'm not a melancholy person, but I really like melancholy music. So someone singing sappy songs is like right up my alley. So I was trying to find his special, and I thought I would be able to get it with, like, I'm a PBS Passport member, so you have access to all of their online content. So I thought I would be able to find it there, but it's not on the website. And so I looked on YouTube, I looked in the iTunes store to see if I could buy the special, and it's not anywhere that I can find. So if you know where it is, I'd love to see it. I can only see little clips on PBS. So I don't know why they're teasing you if you can't actually get the whole show anywhere. But I missed it when it was on TV. And so I thought, well, if I can't buy the show, maybe I can buy a recording. Maybe that's out there. So I looked in iTunes, and it is. They're selling it as an album. And it's a very fun album. It's a lot of covers. He's not he's a performer. He's not a songwriter or anything like that. So it's all music that most of it you've probably heard before. There's a few songs on there, international type songs that if you're American, you probably have not heard. But some of my favorites were, there's a song called Somewhere Only We Know. Nice and melancholy, and he does a good job on it. There's a Billy Joel, actually he does a couple Billy Joel songs, but the one I like in particular is called Goodnight Saigon. He does a great job on that one. And then there's a trio of songs that are from different places in Europe. Excuse me. Cats, man. All right, so what was I talking about? The European songs. So he does a song called Mother Glasgow from Scotland, a song called Complaint de la Butte from France, and one called How Do You Humans Live? That's a German song. And I think he may have said that one was maybe from Three Penny Opera, but I'm not 100% sure on that. The German one is not it's kind of a fun song, but it's not my favorite. It's not melancholy enough. But the other two I really like a lot. So those are probably the highlights of it for me. He also tells stories in between each song, and that's fun too. I think that's part of why I like live music, because I really enjoy kind of hearing not necessarily stories about the songs, but I just kind of I like storytelling. So it's fun when you get to hear the performer just tell stories either about themselves or their life or their experiences or the music. That's good too. So anyway, download that album if you really like good performers. So shall I talk about this hat on my head here? So this is another one of my Make 9 patterns, and I have it in an adult size, and it was so cute and fast that I had to make it again in a little baby size. So that's the front. Okay. So I have it in a big size and a little size, and the pom-pom went on top for the baby one because I didn't want them to eat it because that would be gross. But on the adult one, I put the pom-poms down on the little strings here. I don't know. Does it need one on the top too? I feel like maybe it does, but I haven't taken the plunge yet. Here, we'll see. I would probably put a matching gray one on the top, but white's not bad either. What do you think? Pom-pom or no pom-pom? Pom-pom. So anyway, this one's called the Snowbell Trapper Hat, and it's crochet, as you can probably see. I had to change the pattern a lot, and I wish I was better at crochet so I could say exactly what I did. I'm not sure I could explain it or duplicate it, but what happened was I actually crocheted the whole hat as the pattern said, and it turned out way too small. It was like maybe like a small child, like 3, 4, or 5-year-old head size. So that was not what I was looking for. So I took it all out and I added more. Here, we'll show you the top there. So it starts out with some double crochet rows, and that's where you're making your increases. So it's a top down. You start with your little magic circle here. So I think I added 1, 2, 3, 4, either 1 or 2 more double crochet rows, and I added more stitches. So I had to make it bigger around. I think I ended up with like 6 or 8 more stitches than the pattern called for. And then it tells you in the pattern to do 3 of these rounds with these puff stitches. Let's see, so what I ended up doing, because I needed a much larger area for that. So 3 rounds is this much, that much, but I needed this much. So what I ended up doing was I did a puff stitch round followed by a double crochet round, and then 3 puff stitch rounds followed by a double crochet round, and then 1 more puff stitch round followed by, I think, 2. Yeah, it was 1, 2 more double crochet rounds, and then this last one that looks like actually it's a half double crochet, I think. And that one is actually an edging that goes around everything. So you do the hat, like the body of the hat, and then you do the ear flaps second, and then third you do this edging all the way around, and then the ties are the fourth and finishing touch. So I was really happy with, once I modified it so I could fit. I was a little bit surprised that I had to modify it so much, because the pattern is written for an Aran weight yarn, and I was using Quince & Company's Aran rate. I think it's called Osprey. So I expected that it would be pretty close, and I was using the hook size recommended in the pattern. But again, I'm not great at crochet, and it's a hat, so I wasn't going to swatch. So obviously my gauge was off. But yeah, I don't know if you need obviously I would have needed a much thicker Aran weight, or maybe even like a bulky weight, to get the same stitch size as they were, as they had in the pattern. But that's okay. I mean, honestly, like crochet this is like a 2-hour maybe project. It worked up really, really fast. And this is like an hour tops. So really cute. The little ones, I mean, you can use scrap yarn for that. This took most of the skein of Osprey, I think. Maybe I had like 20 grams left, but you know, that's a full skein project. This is like 20%. Like I probably could have made this with the leftovers from the other hat. But anyway, it was a good pattern, a good design, and I was really happy with it. I have a lot of projects today, and they're all finished. They're all finished. One of them is not blocked, but that's okay. I'm going to show you the magic of blocking, because I'm going to show it to you today, and then next time I'll show it to you all blocked and beautiful, and you'll be like, oh, I can't believe how beautiful that is. I want to block everything. So I finally finished my second fingerless glove. Check it out. So these turned out really nicely. These are the Wishmaker mitts, and mine are a little bit like the design wraps around my hand just ever so slightly because I had to take stitches out of the circumference to make them fit my hands. So I don't know. My husband always says that I have very narrow hands. I don't know if that's true. He has very meaty, big man hands. So I think it's just the difference between male and female hands, but what do I know? So anyway, the purple yarn, which most of these gloves are made from, is Zen Yarn Garden Serenity 20, and that's a merino cashmere nylon blend. Really nice, thick, cozy fingering weight yarn. I used it with, accidentally, some Dream in Color Cosette, which is a DK weight yarn, and it really, it blends in pretty well. The pink probably does stand out a little bit more than it would if it was a fingering weight, but as you can see, it the gauge only changes a hair down here where there's so much of that DK. It's only slightly thicker. The white on this is unidentified. It's leftovers from another project, and I don't remember what white it is. It's really just a very plain white. It's nice yarn though. I suspect that it has a little bit of cashmere in it too, but it's a thinner. The white is definitely a thinner yarn than the purple, even though they're both fingering weight. But I was really happy with this, and I'm also happy to be done because I've now knit this. I've knit this glove 4 times, so I was ready to just move on. But I am happy with how that turned out. Another Make 9 project, and I've decided I think I need a Make 24. If I'm gonna do a year's worth of knitting or sewing or whatever goals, it needs to be more than 9. But for now, I've just got my Make 9. So in May or June, maybe I'll come up with another Make 9. This is called the Meowth hat, and it has black and white cats. And as you can see, this hat is just ever so slightly too small for me. I really wish that the cat would not stretch out quite as much as it does. It should look like that. So on my giant head, it has to stretch too much. But I thought it turned out really cute. And I put a black pom-pom on in the end. I was getting suggestions from people about doing a purple pom-pom instead. And on this screen, actually this purple and this purple kind of look similar. But in the light, can I find some light? I don't know. If you kind of look back here, at the back here, this is the color that this pom-pom really is, and it's a little bit lighter. So I don't know, to me it's just off enough that it kind of bugs me. So in the end, I was choosing between the black or the white pom-pom, and I feel like the white cat over here already stands out enough. So I thought if I do the black, that will kind of call more attention to the black cats, and so that's why I went with the black. But anyway, Meowth hat. It's a Intarsia chart. So let me apologize in advance for even suggesting it. What I ended up doing was I did the cats as Intarsia. So I knit this thing flat up to the top of the cats. You can probably see it better if I turn it inside out. So there's my seam right here. There's my seam. So I knitted Intarsia all the way up to here. And then I sewed up my little seam to turn it into a circular hat. And then I did the rest of the top of the hat in the round. So I didn't do the whole thing flat. The top of the hat is very easy to do as stranded knitting, so just go for it. Last but not least, I'll have to take this guy off to show you my shawl that I finished. And right now it kind of looks like a yucky pile of garbage. No, that's not true. It doesn't look like a yucky pile of garbage, but it looks like an unblocked lace shawl, which is kind of gross. This started out as a pattern called Bernstein. And I want to say up front here, there is probably absolutely nothing wrong with the Bernstein pattern. I always check on Ravelry to see if there are successful projects done and already attached to the pattern, because I figure if other people have figured out this pattern, there's a good chance I'll be able to figure it out. And I did that, and there was, I want to say like 20, maybe more. I mean, it wasn't a small number. Like, there was a significant number of finished shawls that had photos that looked good. So I thought, all right, I'm good to go. So I got the pattern and very quickly realized that it was written as a translation. So the person that wrote the pattern, I think she's German, and certainly she speaks English way better than I speak German. So this is not at all coming from a place of like, I'm not ridiculing this pattern writer or even this pattern at all. Like, I understand that this is just a not your native language sort of thing. But it's not a great English translation. I'm familiar with mesh, and I've done drop stitches before. Those are pretty much the only elements of this shawl, except besides garter stitch. And I couldn't figure out what she was trying to get at for either of those two stitch patterns. So what I did was I just went to my, I wrote a a scarf called Fading Bias, and that uses mesh. So I just got out that pattern. I was like, okay, refresh my memory. How do I do mesh? So I just used those instructions to do the mesh parts. And I just continued the shaping. I could figure out in the initial garter setup where this shawl begins, I could understand what she was saying about like how to increase and decrease to get the shape. So I just kept that consistent throughout the whole shawl. So I can't say that this is really a Bernstein shawl, because it's definitely not. But it was inspired. It is in the vein of the Bernstein shawl. So it just has these alternating sections of mesh and garter, and then they get smaller garter, and then a real small mesh and a skinny garter. And I don't know if you can even see that. Yeah, you can see it a little bit. But next time when you see this, so I'm going to hold this up right now. The very deepest part right now, if I hold it up to the top of my head, where does it go down to? Like mid-stomach. When I show you this shawl all blocked, I think it's going to be enormous. We'll see. So as soon as I'm done taping today, I'm going to go downstairs and wash it and put it on my blocking table. So I am excited to see what it blocks out to look like. So I've been occupying myself the past 2 or 3 days getting my home movies that I've been procrastinating for 10 years on all edited together. So I used to do this, we've had a video camera since my kids we started having kids in 2000. So at that time, people didn't really have cell phones that they were using as cameras. So we had a handheld little camcorder video camera, and I used to edit together the footage from that. And basically I just played it on the VCR, and I would like hit pause and record, and then like record a little snip, and then hit pause while I fast forwarded the camcorder to the next part, and then hit record again. So it was very like caveman editing. So once we got a desktop computer that had Windows Movie Maker on it, I thought, oh, well, this is cool. I can just import all of the video and then kind of edit it on the computer and kind of put transitions in between, and I could add music. And so I thought this would be great. And I did 2-hour-ish long videos that way. But Windows Movie Maker used to be my worst nightmare, because I am not kidding when I say, like, the more video I got edited, the more often the program would crash. And so I might lose my work 100 times while trying to make one video. So it just became like, I was just done with that. I was not going to continue to do the same work over and over 100 times to get one video. So then I just kind of put it off. And when I decided to make a leap to a Mac computer for myself, because we've always had Windows PCs at home, but once I started using a computer a lot for my pattern business, and I had to decide, like, what did I want in a computer, I decided to go with a Mac a Mac computer, a lot of that decision was because like I knew that that was kind of the more that a lot of people in creative type jobs preferred that because of the I knew that it was commonly used by people in creative type jobs. For me, the layouts that I could get on their Pages program were very simple and looked nice. And it just was more attractive than the patterns that I created in Word when I was using my desktop computer. So the other reason is because I am not the most technologically competent person. Like I can do a lot of things and I can learn a lot of things. There's probably nothing I can't learn how to do on a computer, but I don't know a lot of it. I haven't had a job like since computers. So my job before I started staying home with my kids was a teacher, a music teacher. And there just wasn't that much that I needed to do on a computer. So that wasn't something that I ever really spent time learning. And then once I was home with my kids for the first 10 years or so, to contribute a little bit to our family's income, I taught piano and voice lessons. So again, not a lot that I had to do on the computer. So I just kind of missed that window where a lot of adults probably hone their computer skills and become competent. So once I started writing and selling knitting patterns, that's when I actually needed some computer skills. And so I thought Mac products, like when I go into the Mac forums online, I can usually find the answer to my questions. And there's been a few times where I've had to ask a friend that knows a lot about Mac computers to point me in the right direction. But really, with as much as I've learned, like I feel like that's been pretty few and far between. So that must mean that Apple really does have a lot of information online that's easily accessed and pretty easily understood. So anyway, now I've totally forgotten why I was talking about, that's right, movies. So the other thing that I knew about Apple products was that they had some pretty user-friendly video editing software. And because I was so done with Windows Movie Maker, which it might be great now, like I'm talking about Windows Movie Maker of 10 years ago. So hopefully they've improved it by now. But I use iMovie when I edit my podcast. And so I've been collecting all of the video and all of the photos, which let me tell you, that's a huge intimidating job in itself to try to dig out video from, 5 different sources. Cause I've got the old camcorder stuff. I've got stuff from my phones, from my husband's phones, from stuff that my parents have sent us. And then I've got pictures from like everywhere. So even just compiling all of that stuff to make a video is kind of one of those things that I was like, I don't even know how I'm going to do that. But I did it for the first, my earlier videos left off 2006, I think was the last year that I had done a video for. So I did 2006 through 2008 for this video. And it took 3 solid days, but I'm about done with it. So I'm very happy about that. And it's kind of motivating to continue. So maybe I'll do 2008 to 2010 or so here pretty soon. Dig myself out from this 10 years worth of all of our videos are just hiding on hard drives. So that's no good. You can't watch them very easily when they're stuck on your hard drive somewhere. It's much, much more fun to watch them in the edited, music added, boring stuff cut out sort of way, right? I guess that's it. So I got the knitting. Oh, I forgot to tell you, this is my boho blush shawl. And I think I've worn it on the podcast before. It has some little strips of brioche and some feather and fan lace that alternate and some fringe. So that's fun. It's made out of Malabrigo sock, which is 100% merino yarn. So anyway, I hope you had a wonderful couple weeks. And I'll see you later. Oop. Sorry, earthquake. The cat just jumped up on the table. Bye.